Hi, I'm Kate Spivey, and this week I want to talk about something a little different, which is why I'm over here on my gorgeous couch instead of in my usual attempt at a setup. What I want to talk about today is living with chronic pain that affects what you want to do. I was diagnosed with tendinitis in both wrists when I was about 16. It was a problem that I had been having from probably the age of 10. And just, wearing wrist braces occasionally and thinking it was something that was going to go away. And eventually I had to go to a doctor, and that's what they diagnosed me with. And that's what I went to physical therapy for a while. What tendinitis is it's something that you develop when you do a lot of repetitive movements. Now for me, I was doing a lot of things that were causing this issue. I love playing video games. I was playing video games a lot, both console video games and handheld. I think I had what did I have? A Game Boy SP when I was one of the little ones that are really bad because you're right here like you are on a phone. The phone isn't helping now either. I also was writing a whole lot, both by hand and typing, and back at the time, back before I got the diagnosis, I was typing well over 100 words a minute, like probably 150. I was typing so fast and so frequently. I was also playing flute in marching band. I was doing a lot of things where the repetitive motion was causing some severe issues. Now it bothers me when I hear people say things like, if I mention I have tendinitis, and they're like, oh yeah, I have that, you just put this thing on it, and in a week it's totally cured. And that's not the case. With tendinitis, it is kind of a degenerative thing. Yes, if you catch it very early and you completely stop the thing that is causing it, like for example, tennis elbow is a type of tendinitis, and if you stop the motion that caused it, and you are careful for a while, you can heal that. I wore wrist braces on both wrists for I think a solid month and did nothing, did no typing, very little handwriting just because I was still in school, no video games, nothing. And at the end of that month, it felt better, but I was at a point where it was like, I can't give up everything I want to do. I can't not write. I play very few video games now because that pain is very severe and it's not something that I must be doing. Writing for me is a thing that I must be doing. I must write. That's what I want to do with my life, is write. I did physical therapy. I tried a whole bunch of different things to try and make it better, but for the most part, it isn't going to get better because I'm not willing to give up all of the things that I love in order to heal this. And so what it is, tendinitis, the sheath that the tendon is in gets rubbed kind of raw and it does not heal itself. The more that you do it, the worse it's going to get, and it's very painful. Reading pain charts and things and listening to other people, I've finally come to accept that when I feel like I don't have any pain, like I feel like I'm having a really good day, my good day pain level is around a 5 or a 6 for most people. And I've had times I've done things, like I was doing chiropractic for a while, and it was amazing how well that worked short term. So when I was getting a massage, worked short term. And it's weird because the amount of relief I have, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what it's like to live without pain. But when I stop and think about it, my without pain is probably like a 3 or a 4 level of pain. There's always something, there's always some kind of throbbing, and oftentimes it goes all the way up to my shoulder. It's not always in the wrist. It tends to be in the wrist, up the fingers, especially like going this way, and it's in both hands pretty equally. It may have changed. I have not been back to a doctor since my first diagnosis. I may have something worse. I may have something that's completely not tendinitis, but I've always continued to refer to it as tendinitis because that's what I was diagnosed with. And the pain hasn't significantly changed. Like, I don't have carpal tunnel because that's a totally different thing, but this affects getting writing done. It affects what I want to do with my life, and I can handwrite for a certain period of time. If I haven't handwritten for a while, then it doesn't hurt as much, and if I've been handwriting and then I go to type for a while, it doesn't hurt as much at first, but because it's all repetitive motion, it always is going to come back. It's always going to hurt. And I've sort of chosen this for myself. Like I said, I could completely do away with all the things. I could play no video games, I could do no writing, which is almost impossible now, using my phone is absolutely painful. I can't scroll websites very well. Getting a stylus doesn't really work because then the motion just moves is the problem. Anything I do with my hands, and you use your hands a lot. If you don't have pain in your hands, try and actively think about how often you use them, because it's just constant. There's always some kind of emotion. If there's already a pain from another thing, doing anything is really painful. And this week the pain has been pretty bad. So this is very frustrating to talk about because I feel like I did this to myself. Even the doctors that I talked to and people that I talked to since then always point out that I did this to myself, that it was me slouching when I sit, it was me playing video games for hours on end, it was me typing at such a fast speed that my tendons couldn't keep up with it, they couldn't stay lubricated, that my posture was so bad that blood wasn't flowing down to my arms correctly. So I often feel like I sabotaged myself from being able to do painlessly what I want to do as a career. But the fact of the matter is, there isn't a lot I can do. I can't reverse this. There are steps I can take, treatments I can do to reduce the pain and to make it better over time. And I have tried a lot of those. Sometimes you just don't have the money, don't have the time, don't have the resources. There are a lot of things that I can do to help, and it still won't prevent flare-ups. And those are the worst. And this past week I've had flare-ups, and it probably is from, scrolling Twitter too much on my phone, and it just builds up over time. And I sleep with a brace on, especially when I have flare-ups. I put a brace on. I'm not wearing one right now because I wear them all night, and they aren't the most comfortable thing. Restricting your movement isn't great, but there are some things that I do that have helped. And that was kind of the point of the video, not to get all sad about it's just very painful right now, and that's why I wanted to talk about it, is that there are steps you can do to prevent this from happening, and when it has happened, there are some things you can do to make it not so painful, but also just accepting the fact that I'm living with this. I've chosen to continue to be a writer despite this. And I do have to say, this isn't like when I have migraine pains. That's a totally different thing. I get migraines, and if you get migraines, those are debilitating. And I tend to get migraines about once a month, and they're really awful, and I have medication for them, and sometimes I can just be in bed being completely miserable for sometimes days on end. That is a problem. But this is sort of more like, there's a part in Being Human, which is a show about a vampire, a werewolf, and a ghost all sharing a flat. There's a part where the werewolf is upset with the vampire because he's just killed someone, so reasonably upset. Oh, if I can find the clip, I'm gonna insert the clip here.
There's no escape from it. I'm not like you. I don't have days off. This is what I am.
When I started to myself calling what I have chronic pain, it's because I don't get breaks. I always have to deal with this. And sometimes it's really bad, and I can be in a very, very bad mood, and oftentimes it's because the pain is too much to deal with and I'm trying to repress that, and so everything else is awful. So I can be in a really bad mood and I often feel really bad about it. And it can cause other things because I'll tense up because it hurts so bad in my wrists, and I'll make my back hurt. I have bad back now. But that's the difference, is that having some pain sometimes is awful, but this is different because it's going to happen all the time. Anyway, things I do to help make it more tolerable for myself. I take a supplement, I take a glucosamine supplement. There's not really any studies that say that it works, but it's supposed to improve joint pain, so I started taking it thinking I might as well, to be perfectly honest. I have a number of ointments that I am trying out. One of them is Tiger Balm, and everyone always suggests Tiger Balm. Tiger Balm is like the Chinese cure for all pain. It's very good for arthritis. This one works okay. I really don't like the smell of it. It's very strong, like cinnamon and maybe kind of a menthol. It's a very, very pungent smell, and it stays, and it's a little bit sticky, so it's on your hands like Vaseline, and it smells really bad for a long period of time. So that's not my favorite. I have also tried arnica, Arnica does nothing for tendinitis. Arnica is really good for muscle pain. And so I had a lot of people be like, oh, you've got to try Arnica for tendinitis. And it's not what it's for, but it also just does nothing. So Arnica I don't use anymore. I have recently tried a CBD cream. And this is okay. The smell's not too bad. The effect is okay. I'd say it's like comparable to Tiger Balm. Maybe Tiger Balm's a little bit stronger. And that's just for rubbing straight onto the problem areas. But what I have that actually works, it's like my miracle cure, it's my go-to thing, is this stuff. I don't even know what exactly this is because it's Chinese medicine. But you spray this on, and it smells awful. It smells like pee or something. Like, it smells so bad. So whatever it is, this could be all in my head. But like 15 minutes after spraying it on, it's like the pain was never there. This is amazing stuff. I am so lucky that my husband got this for me to begin with, because this has kind of changed the game. Like, if I know I need to sit down and do a writing session, spray some of this on just before and I can do it, and there really isn't nearly the level of pain. It's incredible how well it works. And I also kind of live on ibuprofen. Ibuprofen is good for inflammation, and inflammation is what I have. So I try not to use too much of it, because obviously too much is really bad for your internal organs, especially when I have a flare-up, and especially if I'm going to have a long writing session. I take a couple ibuprofen beforehand, and that helps quite a bit. That usually takes the edge off of the pain for a long period of time. Like I said, I also use wrist braces, especially at night. If you sleep with the wrist braces, then you don't have to wear them through the whole day. Like, it becomes a different pain if you're wearing wrist braces all of the time. Like, yes, it's immobilizing your wrists and like keeping them in the right position, but it's also causing other things, like you're stiffening up. Like, it's not a long-term thing for me. I've tried it as a long-term thing and I do not like it. I don't like wearing wrist braces all the time. I also have bought myself a little back and neck massager, because sometimes just relieving the huge knots on my shoulders can really help relieve the pain. There are also a lot of stretches you can do. People always show doing this one. This hurts extremely for me. They don't bend. That's pretty much like, that hurts. For me, that's painful. I like to rub the pressure point right here. If I rub this really hard, I know that some people say it hurts. My husband says that hurts really bad, that's like a danger spot or something, but I feel like that feels so good to me. It's so much relief. So sometimes if I'm just like not doing something, or in a stressful situation, anytime I can, I'm rubbing this area because it just feels so good. You can also do, it's called a corner stretch, and it looks really stupid. I don't know if I might need to adjust the camera to show you here and do it in this corner. There we go. I'll just put it up a little bit. So it's like this. You just lean into a corner like so. And what that does is it opens up here. Here, I'll lean it back down. There we go. So it opens up here and kind of forces you to stand a little bit straighter and lets the blood flow increase coming down. So that helps quite a bit as well. I'm a much slower writer now than I used to be. I'm a much slower typer than I used to be, and that is because I need to be, because the pain can get completely out of control to the point where it feels like I can't even touch things to pick them up and hold them. I'm making the changes necessary to be able to live with it, to succeed at what I want to do, to try and keep my hands around as long as I possibly can. I know there are other options out there for writing. There's voice writing where you like speak into a thing, but if you do write, you know that's not the same. Dictating something is just not the same as writing it. It doesn't feel the same. It doesn't come out the same. So that's not really an option for me either. If you're also living with some kind of chronic pain, maybe more severe than this, maybe this sounds like I'm just whining at you. I'm so sorry if you're living with something more debilitating, but leave a comment down below. Let me know kind of how you power through. It's always kind of a mind over matter thing, like a shoving the pain back if I have to do something, and rubbing all kinds of things on myself and medicating myself. And take care of yourself. Don't try and write over 100 words a minute. It's not worth it. Don't play video games for 7+ hours on end. Give yourself a break. Protect your hands. And alright, that's enough of a ramble. I'll hopefully see you next week. Bye.